Before we get to that, though, Cornwall Council is being accused of jeopardising the chances of a major expansion of one of the county's most popular tourist attractions. Launceston Steam Railway wants to almost double the length of its track, but the authority plans to buy the land needed for the extension and instead create a trail for cyclists, walkers and horse riders. The council says it's hoping for a meeting with the railway directors to find a way forward. BBC Radio Cornwall's Michael Taylor has this report.
The original plan was for the off-road trail from Launceston to New Mills, a distance of about 2.5 miles, to be on land owned by the railway, which at present runs as far as New Mills. The council was to buy the land between New Mills and Egliskerry, which would provide space for the trail to be alongside a 2-mile extension of the railway line. The South West Rural Development Agency would contribute £1.5 million to the project, and the railway would provide the balance of just over £350,000. But Nigel Bowman, who's the managing director of the Steam Railway, says the council has now decided the extension of the line is too expensive.
If they do what they propose doing, then we are completely stymied. They propose putting their cycle trail right along the middle of the railway earthworks, which of course is where the railway wants to go.
Andrew Neal from North Lincolnshire is a writer, publisher and seller of books on railways. He blames the council for the collapse of the rail and track project.
If you look at where railway routes have been turned into cycle paths elsewhere, sometimes because they demand too much land, it has prevented the route being used in the future for a railway reopening.
The council says in a statement that the trail will benefit the local community and attract visitors, and it has support from organisations connected with cycling and horse riding. The authority hopes to reach agreement with landowners rather than resort to compulsory purchase. The only mention of the dispute with the Steam Railway is the reference to wanting a meeting to find a way forward. The railway has withdrawn its offer of land for the first part of the trail. Jonathan Mann, who helps run the railway, says the council keeps changing its mind.
They seem very reluctant to pin themselves down to any definitive position, and we found it's very difficult to know where we're going, as we have to be careful with our resources, without somebody definitely saying, yes, you can do that.
Enthusiasts Nikki and Paul Sturman from Kent got married on a light railway.
Something should come from both sides. Surely it's better to work together on something like this so that there is a positive outcome and this line does go further.
The state of the economy, Cornwall needs the tourism and it needs to encourage people to come here. And if the line's further, then it's more of an attraction. They need to get their heads together.
Railway Managing Director Nigel Bowman says the council has to make a decision.
Do they want to extend Launceston Steam Railway and bring more people to this town, which desperately needs them? Or do they want the railway to stay at the size that it is? I think our view is, like a lot of businesses, if we can't expand, we're dying.
The Heritage Railway Association is watching the situation closely. It's concerned that too often the provision of cycle and multi-use trails is preventing the potential reinstatement of railway lines.
Interesting debate that, isn't it? Both are very popular leisure pursuits, and you think particularly going back to all that about the Olympics, more and more people perhaps wanting to get out on their bike and use these sorts of trails, but the attraction of riding on a steam train is massive too. BBC Radio Cornwall's Michael Taylor reporting from the platform of the Launceston Steam Railway Station. People have already been telling us about your support of that. Most people suggesting that they would rather see the line extended rather than having another cycle route. Although Martin has got in touch to say that why can't they share the railway line by, say, putting a fence up beside the cycle track? Well, one of the suggestions was that the cycle route was like to go down the middle of where the tracks were proposed to be extended to, so that isn't necessarily a good plan, although it seems from what we were hearing from the supporters of the Steam Railway that things had been changing all the time, so maybe there is scope to share that. You can comment on that as well this morning on the programme, 01872 222222. 19 minutes now to 8 on BBC Radio Cornwall Breakfast with me, James Churchfield.